everyone! Today, I'll discuss the latest in Ukraine, summarizing the available information concisely and using maps. I'll bring it to you quickly and clearly. Thank you for your support. If you subscribe and enable notifications, you'll get notified when a new video comes out. You can also watch my previous videos. Be sure to check them out in the playlist too. The situation in Ukraine. It has been 1,198 days since Russia invaded Kyiv. Let's start with the general topics. According to the latest announcement just released by the General Staff of the Ukrainian Armed Forces, the losses of the Russian military are 930 soldiers, 3 tanks, 2 armored combat vehicles, 39 artillery pieces, 4 multiple rocket launchers, 1 air defense system, 95 drones, 82 other vehicles. That's what we have. Across the entire front, there have been reports of 178 ground battles and Russian military losses have exceeded 992,000 people. This news segment covers the Ukraine-Russia situation, often watched alongside the battle maps. You can also use the chapter feature on YouTube to watch the parts you need. First, President Putin had a phone call with President Trump, and according to President Trump's comments, President Putin stated very strongly that he must respond to the recent attacks on the airfield, warning that there would be a large-scale retaliation against Ukraine. He also stated that it was not a conversation that would immediately lead to peace. According to Vatican News, after that, President Putin had a phone call with Pope Leo XIV, and while expressing interest in peace, he insisted on the demilitarization and denazification of Ukraine, saying that the root cause must be eliminated. Regarding this background, Ukraine's ambassador Yurashi, who is stationed at the Vatican, pointed out that President Putin had previously rejected the Vatican as a venue because he believed Leo XIV was sympathetic to Ukraine, but was persuaded by President Trump to accept the Vatican as a venue for negotiations. The ambassador noted that Putin's acceptance of this shows that Russia's position is weakening. Second, the Ukrainian Military Intelligence Agency HUR announced that it had accessed confidential data from Tupolev, the Russian strategic bomber manufacturer, and stole more than 4.4 gigabytes of internal data. The HUR's cyber unit obtained official documents, personnel files, home addresses, resumes, purchase records, and confidential meeting minutes, and said they had acquired especially detailed information about the technical staff responsible for maintaining strategic bombers such as the Tu-95 and Tu-160. They suggested that the results will soon become clear, hinting at some kind of special operation. Does that mean we should be careful on dark roads at night? Also, after the hacking at HUR, they rewrote the homepage and replaced it with an image of Horror's owl character grabbing a Russian plane with its feet. Now, let's look at the situation in each region. I'll focus on areas where the situation has changed. You can follow those changes along with the dates by switching to full screen on the big display. Also, because people overseas use this as a reference and we use YouTube-optimized expressions, English and Ukrainian audio tracks will be released a few hours later. Northeastern areas, Sumy, Kursk, and Kharkiv. I will now report on the situation from Sumy, which is the target of the Russian army's summer offensive, as well as the Kursk, Belgorod, and Kharkiv areas. The weather in Sumy, which affects the operation, is clear. The high temperature is 27 degrees and the low is 15 degrees. Today's weather forecast is also clear. In these areas, Luzian carried out 26 attacks in the Kursk area and 5 attacks in the Kharkiv area. Kursk and Sumy areas. In this area, the Russian army is conducting a large-scale offensive operation towards Sumy, and the Ukrainian army is taking advantage of openings to launch attacks in the Kursk area. The Russian army is especially carrying out airstrikes on Khotin and Yunikivka. Sergeant Tokach of the Sumy border guard explained the situation in this area. First, they attack settlements with guided bombs, artillery, and fiber-optic drones, and then they launch attacks with small groups using motorcycles and all-terrain vehicles. He explained that now, groups of 8 to 10 people advance in close combat, and those who survive dig trenches, wait for another group to arrive, join up, and then advance again. Also, one of the medics said that enemy attacks are intensifying and the number of wounded is increasing. Because the enemy is advancing, sometimes it's impossible to get close. A soldier familiar with the terrain goes to the wounded and tries to bring them back, but sometimes they have to give treatment instructions remotely. The first one. Since yesterday, the Russian army has claimed to have occupied Kindratika and Novomykolaivka, which is located 10 kilometers east of it, and Russian military bloggers are all reporting the same. Nothing is confirmed yet, so I'll keep the situation map unchanged, but this could also be an information operation to undermine the morale of the Ukrainian command. Second. Meanwhile, in Badraki to the north, according to geolocated footage, the Russians attacked Ukrainian military positions with Shahed drones, then infantry stormed in and claimed to have occupied the house on the map by planting a flag. What you're seeing is footage from the Russian Army's 1443rd Motorized Rifle Brigade showing the condition of the house at the location on the map. On the situation map, Novomykolaivka, which was just mentioned, has been included as a contested area, and the map has been updated to show that the Russians have occupied the entire settlement of Bodraki. The occupied area is 6 square kilometers. Other than that, in the Kharkiv direction, Russian attacks have not led to any advances, and there have been reports that Russian forces are losing one company, about 100 to 200 personnel, every day just in the Kharkiv direction. Also, in the Belgorod direction, there were no reports of ground battles today either. In the northeastern Luhansk region, in the eastern Chasiv Yar direction, I will report on the situation from Kupiansk to Chasiv Yar. In these directions, Russian forces, in the Kupiansk direction, 4 times, there were 19 attacks in the Svatovi-Kremina area, 3 times around Siversk, and 6 times in the Chasiv Yar direction. There were 16 attacks in the Donetsk direction. The Svatove-Kremina battle. In this area, Russian forces are carrying out attacks in various places to maintain the front line and prevent counterattacks by the Ukrainian army. Among them, in Rydkudub, which is northwest of Kremina, Russian forces launched an attack to expand the occupied area within the settlement and claimed control by raising a flag. What you are seeing belongs to the 144th Motorized Rifle Brigade of the Russian Army, and it shows a place that looks like a workshop on the map. On the situation map, it was updated to show that Russian forces have advanced up to this location. The area is 1 square kilometer. Other than that, there is no information that affects the situation map. The Russian army is carrying out attacks that combine ground assaults, drones and airstrikes at a level that doesn't allow the Ukrainian forces to rest. I will now report on the situation in the southeastern Donetsk region, specifically in the Pokrovsk, Kostiantynopil and Velika Novosilka areas. Russian forces have launched 55 attacks in the Pokrovsk direction and carried out 32 attacks in the Kostiantynopil and Velika Novosilka directions. Pokrovsk direction. In this area, Russian forces are massing on the outskirts of Pokrovsk and launching attacks, but the Ukrainian army is also counterattacking by exploiting the gaps created by those assaults. First, in Yablunivka, where fierce fighting is taking place, Russian forces are attacking from the west and south, attempting to advance. Among them, on the western axis of attack, according to geolocated footage, Russian forces are trying to reach the first building in the city, despite taking losses. While drones from both sides are flying overhead, Russian forces are storming the house marked on the map, aiming to take control. What you're seeing is from the Russian side, and it's an image taken from a video at the location on the map. It seems that footage showing both ruins and living beings at the same time is often considered unsuitable for the healthy development of children. Therefore, the more advanced videos will be posted in the usual place, so if you're interested, please take a look there. On the situation map, we updated it to show that the disputed area has expanded by 700 meters up to this location, and that the area behind it has been occupied by Russian forces. The area is 3 square kilometers. Second, conversely, fierce fighting is also underway on the outskirts of Elizavetica, near Marinivka, 15 kilometers to the southwest. First, Russian forces carried out an airstrike on Mirn and signaled an intent to advance. They then launched an attack, but it failed. However, after that, the Ukrainian forces counterattacked at the factory on the south side of the village of Marinivka on the map and recaptured an important position. What you are seeing is, this footage is from the Russian side, and it shows them observing the factory at the location on the map while zooming in. The updated battle map now shows Ukrainian forces have retaken parts of Marinivka's northern and southern positions. The total area amounts to 4 square kilometers. There is information that the Russians in this area are having supply issues, making it difficult for them to maintain their occupation. Third, on the western front at Kotokotriarivka, the Russians tried to advance on motorcycles, and the Ukrainian forces responded with drones and remote mines. What you're seeing is footage from the 59th Mechanized Brigade of the Ukrainian Army, showing from above the last few minutes in the short lives of the Russians rushing down the road. This area was where the Russians launched an offensive and expanded their occupied territory just a month ago, but now we can confirm that this location on the map is no longer under occupation. In the occupied areas, the Russian-held territory has been reduced by up to 2 kilometers, and the contested area has expanded. Additionally, some parts of the contested area further back have been updated to show that the Ukrainian army has regained control. The area that has been recaptured is 2 square kilometers. Konstantinopil direction. In this area, the Russians are launching fierce attacks on Oleksivka and are actively advancing in Bahatir. Meanwhile, in Bahatir, the Russians attacked from the southwest of the settlement using motorcycles and reached the factory located to the west of the settlement. The Ukrainian airstrike's location confirmed this. What you are seeing is from the Ukrainian side. At first, they advanced on motorcycles, and then you can see part of the scene where the Russians who entered the factory are being lured in. However, not everyone could be lured in, so on the battle map, I updated it to show that the Russians advanced only up to this location. Also, based on multiple sources, it was found that Russian forces have also advanced into the western suburbs, so I have marked that area as occupied too, making the total area 2 square kilometers. In the Velika Novosilka direction, Russian forces have carried out airstrikes on Fedrivka and Komar, and there is a possibility that they may launch an offensive in this direction soon. Although the Russian army broke through the defensive line and advanced, the Ukrainian army still holds defenses on both the east and west sides of the Mokry Yali River. Since the river divides Russian forces, further advances appear difficult. There are no changes to the situation map here. Rear area. Today as well, incidents are happening in Russia and territories occupied by Ukraine. First, over the Black Sea, according to Flight Radar 24, a Ukrainian Mirage 2000 fighter jet was recorded conducting a patrol flight. In its flight path, you could see the trident, which is the national emblem of Ukraine. Second, the Ukrainian Special Forces Nemesis 412th Regiment released footage of multiple attacks on command and staff facilities in Donetsk. In the footage, you can also see how the attack locations were selected based on prior reconnaissance information. Third, according to an anonymous source who spoke to the Moscow Times, logistics with China have come to a standstill. In the footage, you can see trucks lined up bumper to bumper. The article states that authorities are conducting strict inspections on cross-border cargo transport, thoroughly unsealing customs seals and checking the contents. It says that because of this, there have been no signs of imported goods arriving from China and Mongolia in the past few days, and there is a possibility that the arrival of military supplies from North Korea and China is also significantly delayed. Fourth, that it will fully cooperate with the Russian military. It appears that there has been some movement in North Korea, which has once again expressed its intentions. On May 21st at the North Korean shipyard where the launch of their latest warship failed, subsequent satellite images suggest that they have succeeded in righting the ship. In the satellite images from May 29th, it is reported that workers can be seen pulling ropes to try to right the ship, and it is also confirmed that they are using a large number of balloons. As a result, although the complete restoration may not have been achieved, the ship has at least been put back into shape within the one-month deadline ordered by Chairman Kim Jong-un. However, even after the restoration, the bow of the ship remains stuck to the shore and cannot be released. Currently, work is ongoing to dig up the seabed in order to separate the ship from the shore. However, even so, the sonar for detecting submarines installed on the bottom and bow of the ship cannot be repaired in North Korea. It may become impossible to use it as a 5,000-ton warship. In the southern Zaporizhia region and the southern Kherson region, the Russians launched 5 attacks in these areas, but the Ukrainian forces repelled them, and there are no changes to the battle map. That's all for today. Please feel free to share your analysis of the situation, your thoughts on the news, or any latest information in the comments section. Lastly, this channel has a sub-channel. There are also related accounts on Twitter, Note, Telegram, and Nico Duga. On Telegram, we share videos for advanced users. On Note, you can read daily updates on the war situation for free, and on Nico Duga, we have posted videos covering the war situation up until last August. If anything happens, we will inform our viewers through these media, so please subscribe to or follow at least one of them. The links are in the description. Thank you very much for watching. ございました。